Hi everyone and welcome along to this week's quick fix. Well, I thought it was a quick fix and then I saw that June actually has 3 different birthstones. So I'm really sorry, Ant, but I'm going to see if I can rattle through these. So June's birthstones are Alexandrite, pearl and moonstone. So for a pearl, I just took a 10p piece, coins, remember these? And I've just drawn around it. For an Alexandrite, I'm just going to draw a little oval. And moonstone, well, it can be a sort of fairly rough shape, so I've done exactly that. And then for July, it's a ruby, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line and then one just a little bit higher, which is going to give me my shape. I'm going to go downwards roughly from the middle, and there I've got a rather nice sort of diamond, well, we call it a diamond shape. It's just a cut stone shape. But let's have a look at Alexandrite. So what I'm going to do is, it is a cut stone I'm going to draw. What I want to do is to create a bit of a pattern with facets. So what I'm going to do is just draw across like that, and then I'm going to do it again at the top, and I'm doing this all by eye. And then I am going to sort of I'm sort of trying to create a shape. I'm sort of doing 2 crosses basically either side. 2 crosses either side. And that's going to help us create more little triangular shapes. And then I'm going to do a line up the middle, line at the criss. It's basically sort of lines at the crisscrosses is a helpful way of looking at it. That's going to be our helpful shape. And for this one, I'm going to do some lines coming up from that point, which are then going to travel in, but sort of getting a bit tighter. There we go. And then I'm going to do triangular shapes out like that and like that. And really, from this point, like, I am just going to sort of create more facets by sort of adding in a few more lines here and there. But essentially, just like how we painted the first shape, it's going to be about creating all sorts of light and shade with different tones of watercolour. But let's begin with the pearl. Let's ease ourselves in. So I'm going to take some Moon Glow. I think that's a really good colour, and I'm going to, with a clean wet brush, size 4, I'm just going to wet the sort of outline, but I'm going to leave a tiny bit of unpainted space, just sort of to one side. And then I'm going to take some Moon Glow and I'm going to paint around the edge, trying to get the edge. Okay, and I'm just going to let that bleed in. I might help it in a tiny bit around the side, but ultimately that is going to bleed in of its own accord and create a really simple, gorgeous pearl shape. See, that's looking really nice. So for a moonstone, it's a similarly sort of soft approach, and I'm going to just team up the cobalt blue with that little bit of shadow. So what I'm going to do this time is I'm going to put streaks of sort of relatively clear water, and then I'm going to add in a sort of bottom edge that's going to just catch the edge of Moon Glow there, and then so the top edge of cobalt blue. Now I've seen moonstones all looking very different, but this is one that I've seen recently that I just thought would be really good to paint in watercolour. And again, just leaving it like that creates this really nice effect. So that's a very simple moonstone. For Alexandrite, am I saying that right? Alexandrite, no, it can't be that. It can't be that. We're going to use French ultramarine blue and a little bit of imperial purple and some Payne's grey, and we're going to do something rather similar to the emerald painting we did for May's birthstone. So I'm just getting all the colours mixed up, and essentially we're going to paint facet by facet. So we can begin with the ones we can definitely see. I'm using a 4/10 brush, and I am painting in purpley and bluey grey tones, sort of every other shape I can see. And then also I'm starting to see new lines create new shapes. I'm basically trying to sort of go round and pick out each shape that I can paint without sort of disturbing its neighbour. If you struggle with drawing, as I know a lot of people who follow me always ask about, can there be a drawing guide and things, what I do recommend is printing, like doing a screen grab and printing off or downloading that screen grab of the shapes you're watching me draw, and then there you go as a brilliant guide. It only dawned on me recently, but that would be quite handy. So I'm creating this spectrum of colour, which is then, as it sort of dries, it's crisping up, which is really nice. It's also creating a sort of palette of colour on the page that I can use. So I'm just going to keep looking at this and sort of finding new shapes to paint. The previous ones I've painted will have dried quite nicely, so I can paint in new colours next to them. But that one was another sort of Payne's grey, but I just made sure I painted in a much more dilute version of the colour. Having filled in most of that shape, I've now done a line up the middle and just found 2 more points to cross, and I'm looking for more. Let's see, we've got one come across the middle, but gosh, you could just keep going really. Let's I think just try to be consistent with whatever you start off with. Make sure the other side has it, so symmetry is key. But then once you start painting, you can have a bit of fun with it, and we're not done. Once we've finished painting it, what we're going to do is we're going to take a wet brush and actually paint a wash over the top as well. So what I've done is I'm leaving 1 or 2 of these shapes unpainted, and so that's going to make a big impact when we put in the wash at the end. I'm not going to say painting gemstones is easy, because it ain't, but this is a fun sort of a loose, not very technical approach to it, and I hope you are enjoying it. Okay, so I've painted in most of those, and now what I'm going to do with a size 2 brush, clean and wet, I am going to just draw a wash over the top. And what's going to happen is we're going to get a lovely sort of cohesion with the stone, but still a strong sense of one colour. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some purple, because that does seem to be the dominant colour, and just sweep it over. And there we go, that's our Alexandrite, and now we're on to the ruby. So I am going to begin by painting in, I think what I'm going to do this for this one, so I'm actually going to paint it in like a wash over the top, and then from that I'm going to create the different facets. But the wash can still mean that we do get some sections painted in a specific manner and some not. So you can see that I've not actually picked up any more colour on my brush. So I've done the whole thing once with some red, and now I'm going to pick it up some more. And I think this is going to be a good start. Now I've got some Moon Glow, size 0 brush, and I'm going to begin to sort of paint in now the various facets that I can see with a combination of Moon Glow and a combination of some more concentrated red. So beginning with outlines, and just bleeding and blending as I go, and just kind of having a bit of fun with it. But the main thing is we've got this structure that we can follow. And just slowly create the shapes. So I'm just working my way through each facet, allowing sort of a bit of an outline and cleaning off the brush and coming up with a little bit of light and dark in each facet. And yeah, it's a sort of a fun introduction into a bit of gemstone painting. So I hope you've enjoyed this week's quick fix. We've done plenty, and I'll see you again next time.